Hawk fans, once again, another edition of Take 5 here on St. Joseph's All Access, but a different twist this week. Usually we sit down with a St. Joseph student-athlete, ask he or she 5 questions, but this week we figured we would bring a special luminary onto the program. We invited Ellen Ryan to stop by with the dedication of the new field hockey field to be named Ellen Ryan Field coming up this Friday. Figured we'd sit Ellen down and ask her 5 questions for a change. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Matt.
37 years with you on Hawk Hill. Most recently as Associate AD and the Senior Women's Administrator. Just when you think about that time, during your time, thinking back a long time to your first day at St. Joseph's, what was the first game that you took in?
Well, I actually had 2 first days. I was the women's basketball coach. That was part-time. And, of course, when I arrived here, the schedule was already made up for me, and our first game was Immaculata.
Okay.
So, as I had mentioned to some people before, people would ask me what was the final score of that game. They were the defending national champions. And they said, what was the final score of that game? And I just said, I don't know, I left at halftime. So that was part 1 of my career, and then I was off a year and came back full-time as the coordinator of women's athletics.
Why'd you leave at halftime? I'm curious.
Well, that was just a joke.
All right. Now, we think back to your coaching career. You mentioned, obviously, that you were the first women's basketball coach and the tennis coach. Is there a win that sticks out when you think of that time? Was there a win that really means most? I
really can't say that there was any special win. The schedules back then were a whole lot different than what they are now. Our basketball team, we played Manor College and Rosemont and Immaculata and, of course, Penn and LaSalle. And always winning a Big 5 game was always a special win for us.
Okay. Now, obviously, lots changed in the 37 years that you've been here. When you think back to 1973 versus 2011, what's changed most? What's the thing that I guess stands out as far as what has changed?
Well, the campus itself is just it's just a total change in terms of there's new dormitories have been built in my time here. Another one being built as we speak. The fields, we just had one field the whole time I was here, Finnessy Field, and that was grass / mud, dirt. Teams would come and play us and told us they refused to come back because it was in such poor shape, because every team here on campus used that one field. There was never a time that it wasn't used. So I would always tell them, just write to the president and let him know how poor the conditions are. And I never dreamed that we would have AstroTurf on that field. I never ever dreamed that we would have lights on that field. And so all of these things that started to come about, and then of course the Hagen Arena, and then the acquisition of the McGuire campus and the fields that are going in there, and as you mentioned, the field that's being named for me is certainly the icing on the cake for me and ending my career. For St. Joe's to do that for me is spectacular. It's just, I don't have words. It's terrific.
It's an excellent accomplishment, and obviously something that when you step back here onto campus, it's something that you could think about every time. I
drive down City Line Avenue and I see that scoreboard up there, and I can't believe it. My family have called me saying, they were driving down City Line and saw my name up in lights. No, it's just terrific. It's terrific.
Now, if I were to come up to you these days and ask you for advice, and were to say to you, Miss Ryan, what can you tell me that would help me be successful, during my time here at St. Joseph's? There was one thing that you could give he or she as far as advice. What would you say?
I would say I think it would be important as they would enter St. Joe's as freshmen to learn how to manage their time. It's so different than being in high school. Of course, when they come here, they're students first, they're athletes second, and their social life is third. Some of them don't always put it in that order. But I think it would be important for them to learn how to manage their time, because being an athlete, your time is so demanding. I mean, there's practices and travel. There's so much travel, so much that can be done on the road in terms of study. But I think it would be really important for them to start off on the right foot as freshmen, to learn to manage their time and be sure that they're students first, athletes second, and then they can party and be smart about how they party and who they party with.
I'm gonna use that one as well. I still
You
struggle.
should do that.
I still struggle to
You
manage
should do that,
to
Matt.
manage my time.
I've heard a lot about you being a party guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And having trouble with my time management as well. Your final question. We always ask a wild card, and
okay.
Administrator, coach, student athlete. It doesn't matter. We're still going to ask one. So for you, when you think back during your time here, who did you want to beat most, as far as schools? Who was the one school that when you faced them, it always really it kind of cut to the core of you when you got that big win?
Well, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I was a Villanova person before I was a St. Joe person, only because my brother was the captain of Villanova in 1959. So obviously my family were Villanova, and then the St. Joe thing came along. So we have a little thing in my family with my brother. He would always say to me, "Ellen, I hope you win every game but one." And so I kind of lived by that. It was always nice to beat Villanova, but it was always good to beat all the other Big Five schools, and then of course the Atlantic 10 schools were always your conference. But probably Villanova.
Well,
probably Villanova.
Well, you may have had Villanova first, but we got you last.
Oh, I'm a Hawk. Oh, believe me, I'm a Hawk. They all know I'm a Hawk. And to be honest, my brother's terrific. He's a Hawk fan. Believe it or not, he's a Hawk fan.
Well, we thank you for the time with us, and congratulations once again.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you. Thank you.
That's Ellen Ryan, and of course we thank her for stopping by. She's been here 37 years on this St. Joseph's campus, and of course we want to remind you Hawk fans to come out to the dedication of the new Ellen Ryan Field this Friday at 2:45 in the afternoon, and then the Hawks after that will take on Temple in a field hockey matchup. Once again, for St. Joseph's All Access, my name is Matt Martucci, and as usual, Hawk fans, we'll see you next week.